So I think that'd be a big relief to Reading fans to get. I think it's Dong his name. It's an appropriate name, and get him out the door and get somebody in who can actually start to build their club, because they're traditionally a very, very good club. Usually prior to this, very well ran, and it's a shame to see a club like Reading be in the position they're in. But anyway, hopefully better times for them after they've played us.
So welcome back to Small Heath Alliance FC, and this summer has been really exciting for Birmingham City, providing me and Dad with lots of content for the podcast, whether that be transfers, whether that be stadium development, the new kits, whatever it might be. But I cannot believe it's been 3 months since me and Dad have done our last competitive-based pre-match and post-match video. But we're back today. We play Reading on Saturday, and I cannot wait to get down to St. Andrews to finally experience the atmosphere with a full sellout crowd. So, Dad, the game against Reading on Saturday, what are your thoughts?
Well, this is what it's about, isn't it? I think most Blues fans, most football fans, not just Blues fans, are really itching for the start of the season. So pre-season's fine. All that's going on with transfers is absolutely brilliant. But actually, the first competitive game is when it really starts for us. This is when our journey really begins, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited about what we've done in the summer. In this video, as you know, Matt, we're going to preview Reading. Give our view on Reading, what we think about them, maybe give a few stats on the Reading team and highlight a few players and give our opinion on Blue. So let's start with Reading then. So what's your thoughts on them?
So I think this is going to be a really good game, actually, and both teams are going into this off the back of a really strong pre-season. Reading have beaten 3 championship teams. They beat Watford, QPR and Hull. And as you know, Dad, Birmingham have had a really good pre-season as well, with us beating Shrewsbury Town, Rangers, West Brom and Solihull Moors. So both coming in there really strong. And last year, Reading finished 17th. And they're going to want to build on that this season. And I think they will. And they actually started with a 6-point deduction last season. So, that to me shows a team more than capable of holding their own at this level. And as I said, we all know the turmoil they've had off the pitch. And as a club and as fans, Dad, we can really relate to that, can't we? So we completely empathise with what's going off the pitch with Reading. But I think they're going to build. I think they're going to be strong this season. When I say strong, I think they'll be somewhere between sort of 12th and 17th. Now that's quite a big window, but I'm expecting them to finish sort of mid to lower end of the table. And yeah, I'm excited for the game. I think it's going to be a good one.
Well, they did well last season. They've been for the mill, haven't they? We can empathise with a team that's going through tough times because we've had rough times ourselves. But I mean, they really went through it, didn't they, last season? I think they're on the cusp of a takeover, from what I've read. But last season, as you said, they had those 6 points deducted and still finished comfortably in 17th place in the table. So they had a good season. But actually, when I looked at this, I thought it's not a surprise, really, because you look at some of the players that they've still got. In there, they've still got quite a bit of experience and some decent players. I've just picked out a few. So Sam Smith is their top scorer, 15 goals last season. Lewis Wing, a really, really good quality player. Harvey Nibbs. I'm not too sure if he's his first choice, but David Button, goalkeeper, who's played in the Premier League, and also I think they got him from West Bromwich Albion, and of course our own Harley Dean as well. He plays for, and obviously there's other players as well. I've just picked those as the highlight players, but there's other good players around that bunch as well. So these are not a team that are going to be easy. And also we've mentioned this before in previous podcasts, Matt, is that every team is going to come to St Andrews as a cup final. This is going to be, and it's a tough start for them to come to us in a full packed out stadium. So I think this is going to be one of those games where we have got the quality now. We've seen it in pre-season. This is the time now when our team have to really start to put all of that into our league form.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a few pros and cons about the Reading team. And a big pro for me is I see Reading as a bit of a get-in-your-face team. They're going to come at us. They're going to be quite aggressive. And with Smith leading the line, they're going to come at us in our first competitive high press. And they're going to press us quite intensely. So this is a really good test of the team's bottle, Chris Davies' tactics and strategy, and how we adapt to that in a competitive environment. Because pre-season's pre-season. Don't get me wrong, it's brilliant to win pre-season, but that all goes out the window now. We need to concentrate on this game, and they're going to press us and they're going to come at us. And I've got a few stats here. They ranked 5th last season for the highest turnover in play. I think that's really impressive. And they only allowed the second lowest passes per defensive action. So clearly, that shows that they're set up pretty well either end of the pitch. And I don't know whether you knew this or many fans knew this. Actually, Reading only failed to score in 6 games last season. And in the second half of the season, they only failed to score in 1.
Okay.
So that shows that they are very good attacking. They like to get down the wings. They like to suffocate down the one side. And if they're successful in that, they can be quite dangerous. But what that brings is opportunity. So if we can be calm, and especially when we play out from the back, I think this game's going to be won in the centre of the park, actually, because if we can hold off that initial press, Reading are quite renowned for being quite structurally unstable if you get over that first hurdle and push them back. And if we can have JJ and Paik in the middle of the park opening up the channels, I think we could cause some serious damage. But that's not underestimating Reading. I'm expecting them to come at us. They're going to come at us fast. And I think they're a good team, not to be underestimated.
I think teams will come to St Andrews this season more cautious. I think their game plan will be different at St Andrews than maybe
Quite
they will
possibly,
play for
yeah.
the teams. I don't think, because I think if teams press us, I think that will play into our gameplay because we obviously have a high press ourselves. We're trying to break their play down. So if they're committing forward, that's going to open up areas at the back as well. I think we'll see a very different strategy this season because obviously what we haven't seen in previous years is a possession-based dominant Blues team, which I think we're going to see this season. So if teams come to us this season, particularly at home in front of big crowds, I think that is going to create opportunities for us. So that's a good thing as well. I looked at their record last season actually as well. They weren't bad at home actually. They out of 23 home games, they won 12, drew 5 and lost 6. So that's not too bad. But away they were pretty poor. Actually, only slightly better than us. Only won 4, drew 6. And lost 13.
That is interesting.
So their away form last season, and something else is worth mentioning for Reading as well, because of this uncertainty about their ownership, they haven't made any signings either.
Yeah.
So the team that we're likely to see at St Andrews is going to be very, very similar to the team. I mean, they may have let 1 or 2 go, but it's going to be very similar to the team that finished last season as well. So their away record wasn't very good anyway, and then they come into us first away. So we'll see how we get on. Just one other point as well, which is interesting that you mentioned, Matt. You mentioned about the physicality and stuff like that. The Hull City manager Tim Walter, in their recent pre-season friendly, complained that the Reading players were basically too aggressive.
Right.
There was one young lad, I can't remember his name, who particularly complained about a tackle that he did that nearly injured one of the Hull players in pre-season. So basically, they're going to be physical.
Yeah. I've seen quite a lot of pre-season games kicking off this season. I saw a West Brom player lamps on one. It seems to be quite a few tasty pre-season fixtures going on, isn't there?
Oh, James McLean against Chelsea as well.
Yeah.
That was an interesting one as well.
Wrexham.
Yeah, Wrexham, that was in America, that one.
Yeah, because people were going, I can't stand that Wrexham guy. He seems to be causing trouble everywhere he goes. But it's quite funny, isn't it, in pre-season? Because it's an unspoken rule, isn't it, in pre-season? You don't go launching in, you don't go firing in. But I quite like physical teams, if I'm honest, because it shows that they're up for the fight. I mean, they are going to come and try and bully us. We're going to get that this season in League One. A lot of team strategies, I think, this season are either going to be park the bus or lump us off the park, one of the two. And I think their strategy will adapt and change slightly. But Reading have far more success when they play a direct style of football.
Yeah.
They tried playing out from the back quite a few times last season. It didn't quite work. But when you look at some of their goals, they're direct play. And they can score from distance. I don't know whether you've seen some of their goals from last season. I was doing a bit of research. And I do watch the highlights pretty much every weekend, regardless of division. I love seeing the different tiers of English football. And at one point, I was watching the Reading games, and they were scoring from what seemed like 20, 25, 30 yards week on week. They were scoring some absolute screamers. So just a threat we need to be aware of. They have got people that can score from distance. They do benefit from direct play. But their defence, on a bit more of a negative here, their defence is very young and very inexperienced, and they're missing one of their key players. Is it Yado?
Yes, he's injured.
He's not playing this week.
He's their captain.
He's their captain, exactly. International, Ghanaian international.
Yeah.
So I think they'll feel the miss of him. And I think if we can high press that defence, they could be prone to a few problems and issues. And we've seen it in pre-season, Dad, with Chris Davies, his style of football. We're going to press them and we're going to try and dominate the ball in their half. So it's going to shape up to be a really good game. But to be fair, we've spoken quite a bit of Reading. Should we bring it back into the Blues and what we're expecting from the Blues team?
Yeah, just one final point on Reading for me. I think they've got a really good manager, Ruben Sellers. I think in the circumstances, he's done a fantastic job there. He was at Wolves actually before he was at Reading, and I think you have to give credit to people that work in those type of circumstances because the ownership that they've had, the Reading fans have had to endure, has been horrendous. We heard that rumour that they were trying to sell their training ground to Wickham. Yeah. In fact, actually, interestingly, the person who's put an offering for them is actually the former Wickham owner.
Yeah, I saw that. I was doing a bit of research earlier, and I saw the Wickham badge on the guy who's going to be buying Reading.
Yeah.
And I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, so if that, and they reckon that's pretty close, so that should happen soon. So I think that'd be a big relief to Reading fans to get. I think it's Dong his name is an appropriate name, and get him out the door and get somebody in who can actually start to build their club, because they're traditionally a very, very good club. Usually prior to this, very well ran, and it's a shame to see a club like Reading be in the position they're in. But anyway, hopefully better times for them after they've played us. Just a few other players as well. Tyler Bindon is another one of their players. He's away with New Zealand in the Olympics, so he won't be there. There's a couple of doubts. Jarrell Dorset and Calvin Abrafaya. They are possibly doubts or doubtful for the game as well. So they got a few injuries as well in what is a fairly light squad. So and also as well, from what I've read, I don't know if you've seen the same, that they set up as a 4-2-3-1.
Yep.
Which is
going to come on to that now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So in terms of formations, we're both going to be doing the battles of the 4-2-3-1. I've got a feeling Chris Davies is going to set us up really similar. And to be fair, do you want to? Should we give a crack at what we think the lineup's going to be for Blues as well?
Yeah. Well. Okay. So I'll do the defence. You do the midfield, and I'll do the forwards. Okay.
Go for it. Yeah.
So the defence, I think, based upon what
goalkeeper as well.
Yeah. Well, including the goalkeeper. Yeah. So it'll be Peacock, Farrell in goal. That's almost certain that'll happen. Laird will be right back. Cochrane will be left back. Bielik is looked like he'll be fit, so I think he'll play at centre half, and I'm going to put Sanderson in there.
I agree
with him as well.
Yeah,
Clara did well actually when he came on against West Brom, scored as well.
He did,
but I think he'll start with Sanderson. So for me, that will be the goalkeeper, and the back four will be Peacock, Farrell in goal, Ethan Laird, Dion Sanderson, Christian Bielek, and Alex Cochrane. And then in midfield, what do you think about midfield?
I do completely agree, by the way, because I know in our expected lineup video last week I said about Clara. I don't know, is it a Clara or Clara?
We all know what you mean. He's that bloke who said he looks like, just by looking at him, he wants to kill him.
Exactly, yeah. But I think after pre-season and the whole Sanderson thing, I get it. He's been really, really good. So
that's caveated, because if, for example, whatever Bielek is not quite ready, we could have a Sanderson Clara.
How nice is that?
Yeah,
we actually have strength in numbers for once.
Yeah.
If one of us is injured, we have a top quality $4 million valued defender who can come in. Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
So in midfield for me, I've got JJ and Paik in those two centre mid positions. I've got Miyoshi on the right, Williamson in the middle. And I'm going to go Hansen on the left, but I've been reading on social media Dembele might get the nudge left wing as well. So I'm going to go Hansen. I would prefer to see Hansen, if I'm going to be honest. But you know what? If Dembele plays, I've not got a problem with Dembele. I just hope Chris Davies has trained him to...
Dembele started against West Brom and played a lot of the game against West Brom. So I'm thinking that because of that is who Chris Davies is going to want to put in there.
I'm happy with that.
But he did all right, Dembele, to be fair.
He's a good player.
He looks like a different player, to be honest. And fair play to him. He was tracking back. He was working hard. So the thing about Dembele is he's going forward. You can't argue. He's got that trickery. He can open up a defence.
100%.
And he can create chances.
Dad, me and you have never denied Dembele and Bakuna are talented. They've got bags of ability. We don't think they're bad players. We just get frustrated with certain elements of their game. I think that's fair to say, isn't it?
Yeah.
But whereas Dembele looks like he's really listened to Chris Davies, took his advice on board, and he seems to be a new player again. A bit like Sanderson. We're seeing new, different.
But that's good.
Players,
that shows you the positive coaching of Chris Davies in his
Absolutely.
terms. I do agree with you in the middle as well. I think it will be Paik and JJ. But I've got to say, Mark Leonard, when he came on, obviously you were away with your family for the West Brom game. I was talking to Joe, who's my daughter. She came with me to the Albion game, and Mark Leonard came on and I said, watch him. I said, he's going to be a good player. Within 2 seconds, first touch, he gave the ball away to West Brom and nearly scored. But after that, I thought he was brilliant. I mean, he really would. Do you know when a player is hyped up about, he runs around, he breaks a play. He was doing exactly that. I think he's going to be a big player for us. But for this game, I think he'll start with JJ and Paik. But if Mark Leonard comes on, I think Mark Leonard is going to get a lot of. He'll be a first choice at some point.
We've got Charlton 4 days later. Mark Leonard might be primed to start that. As in, there's going to be a lot of rotation, isn't there? It's a busy schedule. It's a big.
Miyoshi definitely will be on the right, so that's sort of agree on the midfield there.
Yeah, and then of course Alfie May up front.
It's going to be you mentioned Williamson, which is obviously spearhead in the midfield, which is correct as well, I think. And it's going to be Alfie May.
But again, similar to your Mark Leonard comment, I think Luke Harris is right behind in terms of ready to come on and be eager and make a difference as well. So again, depth in numbers. What a nice problem to have for once. And
we're going to pick up injuries.
Of course we are.
We're going to get suspensions,
and we'll see more players come in during this transfer market. I think we're going to see another 4 or 5 come through the door before the window closes. So. It's not over in terms of the transfer market, but how nice, Dad. We're actually talking about a game coming up for Blues, and we've actually got a little bit of depth for once. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So I think a really easy one is Alfie May up front. If you have someone else, that I'll be absolutely staggered.
I've got Alfie, mate. Yeah, of course. But I still think we need more strikers. We won't
Yeah.
mention any rumours, but we
I think
know
we need two.
We do need two, and obviously this game will be Alfie, mate. I do think there are certain positions we don't want to dwell on this because obviously we've done videos on this already. But yeah, I think we're light in the right back position, we're light on the right wing, and we're light up front.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And also, now that Buchanan is injured, we've got Cochrane. So my concern is if Cochrane gets injured, who's going to play at left back? But they're just. We can't really moan, can we, with the players we brought in? To be fair,
absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And just coming back to sort of players changing, adapting, and being brilliant in pre-season. Everyone knows Sanderson's been pinging those absolute diagonals all pre-season, and I think that could be a key to unlocking Reading. If they overload in one side of the pitch,
that's definitely a tactic.
I think Chris Davies' tactic, Sanderson, we could catch Reading out quite a bit. With
Well,
Sanderson's
what that does, I've
stuff,
noticed this in the pre-season. He was doing that against West Brom as well, and actually most of the time his delivery is good. A few of them went astray, but they will. And what it does, when he does that, literally it shifts the play completely over to the side of the pitch. So rather having to play through and find a way through through passing, this literally all the players literally have to shift over. And if you've got somebody like Dembele on the right or Miyoshi, Dembele on the left or Miyoshi on the right, they're fast players as well. So if Sanderson can get those balls right, that's going to open up a lot of defence. So I think he never did that last year. We didn't have that tactic last year, so that's another little thing that we've got differently that's been coached into them as well.
But that could be a really big element to us getting a good win here. And as I said, I think it's really going to be won in the centre of the park. I think JJ and Paik are going to have a massive role to play on Saturday. And I'm really looking forward to it. So, Dad, before we end the video, I mean, if you don't know if you've got any more information, but before we do, let's get a score prediction. What are your thoughts for the game on Saturday?
Well, I said a home win. Again, we know that as Blues fans, and anybody from other clubs watching this, I think we're always going to predict our team to win. But I think that for this game, we've got a good, strong squad coming up against a Reading team in the first game of the season. At a packed at St Andrews, we had 7 home games sold out at St Andrews last season in a relegated season, and we won every one of them. So it's going to be a Blues win for me. Now the score for me, I'm going to go 3-1 Blues.
You think we'll concede? Interesting.
I think that we're going to be there's going to be little Neils and rusty things to get used to. But I think I'm going to go 3-1.
I think exactly for the reasons you've listed, packed out St Andrews, 7 wins out of 7 last season in a relegated team, and the fact Reading's form away from home last season wasn't very strong. I'm also going to go a home win. And how nice is this, Dad? We spoke about squad depth and numbers. How nice is it to go into a game confident that we're actually going to win? Remember last season we were like, oh, not too sure. And I'm going to be a little bit conservative here, a little bit boring, I guess, but I'm going to go for a relatively comfortable 2-0 win for Blues. Okay. I don't think we're going to concede. And I think the adrenaline is going to be pumping the players. The noise, as always, Blues fans are going to bring the noise, and I think they're going to rise to the occasion, and we're going to get a 2-0. I think a goal each half for me. I think, and it's going to raise the roof.
Yeah, it's really is like the night before Christmas, and
I can't wait.
That's how it feels at the moment, with all the positivity around the club, and just the thought of going into a packed out St Andrews is just absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. Money can't really sort of buy that type of feeling when you go into it. So I'm absolutely really looking forward to it. And I think, let's get off to a good start, get off with a win, and then we'll just start to take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I cannot wait to get a couple of pints of neck oil down, because I know you tried that, Dad, when I was away with my family.
Oh, it's good stuff. Good,
so.
Yeah, I was absolutely amazed. Yeah, it's so much better. They actually have those disposable containers, but they're not the little flimsy ones anymore, and that makes a difference as well. Anyway, we'll get a couple of them before the game. But if anybody goes out to Andrews and you haven't tried the beer, go and give it a go, because it's 100% better than it was before.
Yeah, I just can't wait to get down there as well. But as always, Blues fans, would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts about the game on Saturday? Reading fans, maybe you've come across our channel for the first time. We'd love to get your input as well. What are your thoughts on some of the comments we shared? Do you have any thoughts and comments of yourselves? Please drop it in the section below, and me and Dad will get around to that as quickly as we can. We love getting around to those responses and engaging with the fans as much as we possibly can. And please check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page and an Instagram page, which are on the screen right now. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any future content. And me and Dad will see you on the next video, all about Birmingham City.